What's that? You heard rumors about what's coming next? Scarlet and Violet 2? Oh, oh boy. Hey, what's good, yo? Soul here, and welcome back to the story mode. It's been a silent minute, and I apologize for that. Something came up that made it kind of hard for me to record for the last couple of days. But I think we should be good to go, back in order. We're gonna get it bopping. Now, we're gonna speed right into things because we have a lot of responses to get through because you guys made sure to respond to my prompt. Thank you all so much. About 2 weeks ago, I had asked you guys what your final opinion was on both the base game as well as the DLC for Pokemon Legends ZA. Did you enjoy it? Was it everything you expected and hoped for, or did it fall flat, or was it somewhere in the middle? As per usual, I asked, you answered. Before we get started here, just know that if you ever want priority on your responses, make sure to join up in the Discord so that you'll know firsthand whenever I do something like this. Generally speaking, it's also the best way to keep track of whatever content I'm working on. I have been extremely active on second channel, link in description. Anyway, per standard, we're kicking things off on the Discord side of things, and starting us off is Ear, who says, loved the game. I think it's underrated. DLC can be really tedious, but there's enough good that I can say I enjoyed it overall. I think that is by and far the simplest way one can put it. The game in of itself, in my opinion, was very solid. I loved my time with it. There's definitely a lot of flaws. The DLC, for sure, tedious. It definitely became a little more tedious to me the more I played it like off cam and just doing my own thing. I kind of just decided to stop and I didn't come back to it. But for the most part, I got out of it exactly what I needed out of it. So I had a generally good time. Not to say it's without its issues though. After that, we have the scary McDonald's employee. Buddy, I will always love how enthusiastic you are about these. Keep it up, 1000%. However, yours is long and I'm gonna have to sum yours up because otherwise it's gonna take a long time to get through everything. So I'm gonna keep it as simple as I can when reciting yours here. I played both the game and got halfway through the DLC. I will admit that even though the game didn't meet my standards, it was fun and I enjoyed it a lot. Starting with the times I felt where the game was lacking, how flat it looks, the day and night cycle felt pretty intrusive, how little of the buildings were locked, lack of voice acting, the lack of important landmarks, and the targeting was annoying for both trainer and Pokemon. Now for the things I think were good. On Switch 2, the performance and graphics were some of the best in the series. The Legend style catching mechanic, the battle mechanics, following Pokemon, cafes, and photography. The character designs were really good. While I think the art style was mediocre, it was great at some points. And I can't be a musician and not talk about the scores. The music was so enjoyable. So while the game had a few annoying flaws and repetitiveness, I still think it was an overall super enjoyable experience. In terms of gameplay, I rank it below Pokemon Legends Arceus, but above Scarlet and Violet. But I wouldn't say it's worth the hefty price tag for everyone. For me, it's still up to debate, but it was worth it. I enjoyed it, so it wasn't a complete waste. Now, for the most part, there were some of your negatives here that I actually didn't even really consider, right? For example, the lack of important landmarks. I think I did think about this. Maybe I did mention it somewhere. I don't entirely remember. But for the most part, I really do agree that there are almost no real, like, legitimate landmarks to make the area more memorable, right? Lumios as a whole in of itself is a landmark. You know what I'm saying? Like in Generation 6, Lumio City was just that spot to go to. It was the biggest city to explore, but in of itself, there's nothing like major within the city that you're thinking of. No major areas that make it memorable, you know? Now, as far as the day and night cycle, this wasn't a major problem for me personally because I really do like the ZA Royale aspect of it, and so I was always usually waiting for one or the other to happen, or I would like make it happen manually through the benches if I wanted to get to the day or night, you know, faster essentially. But I could definitely see how it could be a problem for somebody that's like shiny hunting or they're actively doing something in the overworld and then they're completely disrupted when it turns to night. That can definitely be really annoying. When it comes to shiny hunting, usually I would like save my game beforehand so that I wouldn't have to worry about it. So I would just like start back to where I was if I needed to, you know, keep it day or night or whatever. But for the most part, again, I could see why that would be super intrusive. And of course, we've talked about how flat the general area looks and things like that, how like it's just not as aesthetically pleasing as it could be for a city, that they probably could have taken a little bit more time to detail up a little bit, which is really unfortunate. So that really sucked. And, you know, kind of bleeding right into that, you know, the buildings in of themselves, not only did they not look all that great, but a lot of them were just not enterable, which I thought was pretty much a shoe-in situation to essentially compensate for the fact that this all takes place in one city, right? Because if there's not as much to do in the city, it would have been a problem. There's a lot of side quests and stuff though, so it's not the biggest, worst, most horrific thing in the world, but it definitely does suck that we're not able to go into more buildings and have more stuff to do in those buildings, right? I felt like this was a perfect opportunity to take advantage of that situation, and we just didn't. That sucked. And then as far as your positives go, I pretty much agree with everything that you've said here, if I haven't already mentioned it in my like review and stuff like that. But, you know, it performed very well. It looks decent for the most part, especially the characters and stuff like that. Following Pokemon has been the best it's ever been. The legend style mechanics, the battle mechanics is like my favorite thing about this game easily. Music was good. It was just, it was solid. It was a very solid game. I definitely agree. But alright, after that we've got Big Don Decidulon, who says, while I haven't played the DLC, Pokemon Legends EA might be one of my favorite recent Pokemon games. I know it could have been better seeing all the cut stuff, but it was still an enjoyable experience. The battles felt more fun, the characters were entertaining, and it finally makes me want to play competitive Pokemon thanks to the new battle system. So while it could have been way better, I really enjoyed my first playthrough of the game. I am definitely within the camp of people that for sure believes that this game could have been a lot worse than it actually turned out to be, right? There's a lot of very good and enjoyable aspects about this game that I feel get overlooked because of the fact that it is a little bit on the pricier side, and it does feel like it is lacking in a couple of aspects where it absolutely should not be. I saw that either you or somebody linked like all of the major stuff that was like cut from the game. I don't know to what extent that delves into. Maybe we can make a video about that or something. Maybe we could do a little stream on it. I don't know. But I do know that there was some cut stuff to an extent, and that really, really sucks. But that's kind of what happens when you put your team on a time crunch like that. So, you know, it was inevitable. But, you know, maybe once we look at it, we'll see that it was some stuff that was probably necessary to cut. But, you know, we'll have to really delve into that at a later date. But for now, for the most part, I agree with you. I really enjoyed my first playthrough. I even enjoyed my second playthrough. I just feel a little burned out after that and the DLC. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. But I think I put a decent amount of hours into this game to, you know, say that I feel I enjoyed it. After that, we've got our Chief Officer, Detroit. Let's see what the boy has to say. Thought the game was very fun. Flawed, but still very entertaining. I'm a turn-based fan, but did like the change of pace with the action-style combat. Customization was amazing, hope that stays. A good chunk of the side quests were fun, and the writing was pretty decent here. Was decent in Scarlet and Violet as well. Character models and battle animations were also good. I wouldn't call it great, but good enough, about a 7 to hold me over until Generation 10. It's time for voice acting. I want building interiors back. I'm so sick of storefronts and rideable Pokemon. And a difficulty setting, though this had some tough moments. Overall, this was a solid send-off for Pokemon on Switch, which was a mixed bag overall. Still optimistic for Pokemon on the Switch too. I think one of this game's biggest frustrations for a lot of people was the fact that there were situations that easily could have been addressed that certainly wasn't, like, you know, enterable buildings and stores and stuff like that, rideable Pokemon, or at least something equivalent like skates or something, especially to a revisit to anywhere in Kalos, but that didn't happen. And naturally, of course, voice acting is a major issue that people have because the whole silent voice thing with fully animated cutscenes, it doesn't work. It hasn't worked for a very long time, and yet they still did that for whatever reason. It is truly a spectacle to witness. But for the most part, I think that 7 out of 10 is a pretty fair grade to give it, especially because, despite internet belief, this is one of the higher quality Pokemon games that we've had on Switch, so, you know, people are gonna have to argue with a wall on that one, but yeah. And hopefully, we just continue to get better going into the Switch 2 era. That is all anybody can ask. All right, Crispy Boys, what you got for us? I enjoyed the main game a decent bit. The combat didn't grip me at first, but it definitely grew on me, and now I really enjoy it. I also really enjoyed the characters and writing. Honestly, it was the best set of characters we've seen in a while IMO, better than Scarlet and Violet to me. On the negative side though, the whole game felt heavily held back by the Lumio's only setting. Also, I didn't really like the direction they went with the story. The pieces were kind of there, but the ending just being Prism Tower coming alive and fighting weird flowers outside of it, not my favorite. Overall, I enjoyed the base game, and the DLC just didn't look fun to me. It looked too grindy and also samey in terms of settings. For a game that was already held back being set in a single city, making the $30 DLC set in an alternate version of the same city was a stupid idea to me. New megas look really cool, but the gameplay and setting didn't do enough for me to make me want to buy the DLC. Yeah, the DLC pretty much off rip had a hit or miss situation with a lot of people, given the fact that it was very obvious what they were doing. Instead of completely making like unique areas for us to explore to find these Pokemon, they just kind of reused assets from throughout the city and just placed them in like odd spaces and stuff like that and made it so that we were in hyperspace. It was I saw the idea, I saw the vision, but I totally agree that it is a little bit of a cheat, especially for what they were pulling with that. I, for the most part, liked what they tried to do in terms of like the general story and stuff like that, but overall, yeah, the DLC was definitely not the best direction they could have taken it, no. And for a narrative decision, I definitely will agree that bringing Prism Tower to life was an odd one for the most part. I didn't hate it, you know, initially. It was just like, oh, all right, that's weird, but hey, you know what? Cool, big threat. Let's see what they do with it, you know what I mean? And it would have been a lot cooler to fight that directly as opposed to just, you know, flowers on the ground, but what's done is done. Animation-wise, the very end of that fight, though, I still think is one of the most climactic things in Pokemon, so you know, whatever, it kind of makes up for a couple of things here and there, but it doesn't completely clear it of all its flaws. I definitely see your point there. And lastly, ending things off on the Discord side of things, we have my other officer-in-chief, True CBE, who says, I haven't played it primarily because I wanted a Switch 2 first. As the server knows, I'll be streaming it soon, but I will have my limited thoughts on what I have seen. The battle system. It looks extremely fun and very intense. I am highly interested in how it will feel and play, especially with trainer battles. The ZA Royale. I love this style of battling as it's a fun way to make money in the game, and the objectives is a brilliant addition. Side quests seems very varied and actually worth doing, unlike what I've seen in Arceus, where it feels like you usually just get basic items you can already find out in the overworld, but these side quests feel more rewarding. Catching fainted Pokemon. Very well balanced for the risk-reward feature. Wouldn't mind this in the main game as an option. Character designs. The characters are very beautifully designed, and I can't wait to see more of them and how they are fleshed out. Rogue Megas. An awesome idea, and I am looking forward to trying it out and seeing what Megas I have to use. ZA Battle Club, a very fun concept it seems. We'll have to give more thoughts later. And the environment, my biggest problem with the game as it looks terrible in the environment compared to what it should be. I don't need Elden Ring, I need a game that looks good for the style it's working with. That's all I have currently. I'll have more thoughts when I fully play. I like that you did this one because we have like a unique perspective of somebody that's still relatively interested in the game but actually hasn't played it yet or spoiled themselves somehow, which absolute miracle that you've managed to avoid the spoilers thus far, so very good stuff. But for the most part, from what you have seen, whether it be from my streams or from whoever else you so happen to watch, your observations are mostly accurate. If you like action-style combat, then the battle system in the ZA Royale will definitely make this game for you 100%. And personally, as somebody that has played both of these games multiple times, I do feel like the side quests in ZA are way better than the ones in Legends Arceus. You could call me crazy for that one, but I feel like generally speaking, you do usually seem to get more out of the side quests in ZA. I don't remember if I mentioned this in my review or not, but I do personally think that the catching fainted Pokemon mechanic is a very like solid trade-off, like very high risk, high reward situation that I definitely could see making it into future titles. Hopefully that is the case because I do like that a lot actually. As I've stated, I absolutely adore the character designs, whether it be our character or most of the other characters, and the customization is actually really, really good this time around, the best it's ever been. Rogue Mega Evolutions are really sick, fun boss battles that are definitely a step up from what we've seen in Legends Arceus. There are some in Arceus that do still manage to clear some in ZA, but for the most part, ZA overall is a massive step up with its, massive like boss battle type situations. The Battle Club is very cool if you like playing online and you want like a real challenge from other players and stuff like that. Very solid, love it. And the environment, yeah, that's a pretty common one that we've talked about over and over again at this point. So it's really situational. I really don't know how you'll feel about ZA by the time you actually play for yourself. But if you like Legends Arceus enough, I feel like you'll like ZA plenty, and vice versa and stuff like that. But I don't know, we'll have to see when you get around to streaming it. I will do my best to be there because I do want to see your reactions. So that just about does it for the Discord side of things. Again, if you tap into the link in the description below, you could go ahead and join our fun little community where we have little debates and talks all the time, and you can keep up to date with everything that I'm doing on this channel, my second channel, potentially even other channels, whether it be videos or live streams, or if you want to influence what kind of videos I make. If you have ideas for things that you want to see, you can pitch that in the Discord and stuff like that. Make sure to join. Again, description below, because you don't want to miss out on your chance to get priority comments and responses when I do videos like this. All right, shameless plug over. Let's go ahead and jump over to the YouTube side. To rev it up, we've got Gary Oak, who says, I have a lot to say about the DLC and the base game, but I'm very frustrated right now to type out my feelings. Once I gather my thoughts, when I'm not frustrated, I'll come back to this post. My final rating is 3 out of 10. Since my rating is so low, that should tell you that I did not like this game and the DLC especially. I am not excited for Gen 10 and beyond. Game Freak will never evolve. They're so behind the industry, it's not even funny. Yeah, this is precisely what I expected the moment we hopped over to the YouTube side of things, but hey. What else did you expect, But as somebody that's been playing these games enough, I totally understand the frustration. You shell out $70 for a game that's just not up to par with what you're expecting, especially since you likely already paid $500 plus for a Switch 2 and hoping that it would run as smooth as humanly possible, which for the most part, while it does run well, if it doesn't look good to you, then it's definitely not going to be worth that price. And then on top of that, you're expected to shell out an extra $30 for a complete experience, and it just doesn't do it for you. It's a very frustrating situation, and I am not shocked that anybody feels this way, nor do I blame them for feeling that way. But I am really sorry that this game wasn't it for you and for a lot of others. I agree that they are capable of better. We're just in an era where greed overtakes all. So we'll have to see what the future brings. Funny enough, in a similar vein, we have Magna Waves, who says, this game was the final straw for me in regards to Pokemon. I played ZA. Though the battle system was a decent enough change, although it's still nothing groundbreaking, why can't we make our Pokemon dodge instead of having them waddle around awkwardly? It appears they'll be going back to turn-based anyway next time. The story and characters, while appealing, are still about as flat as any Pokemon characters that came before. There was definitely a lot more comedy than before, and that was good. They poured all their time into running animations, which was appreciated and important, but Mons still just rotate to turn. Characters can't hand one another actual items, everything is a constant fade to black as usual, and despite the city being all there is as far as environment, the visuals are still trash. Texture work is sloppy. I found a couple spots where a window suddenly cuts off and a brick wall 90s off of it. I didn't bother with the DLC. I can go on and on, but I'm tired of Game Freak giving us slop. I've been a huge Pokemon fan since I was 9, but this is it for me. That combined with Nintendo's relentless lawfare against Palworld shows me they want to keep Pokemon a quick slop job since they know it sells regardless. The whole Palworld situation is kind of a mess in retrospect, because on one hand, like, yeah, Nintendo is doing this thing where they just kind of try and just berate them with like lawyers and lawsuits and stuff like that, just kind of waiting them out, but at the same time, they did blatantly steal some aspects of Pokemon, specifically design-wise and things like that. Like, they weren't even trying to really hide that or anything like that. So the whole Palworld situation is a mess in of itself, but, I could see why a lot of people aren't really happy with the idea that they don't want any form of real competition in this space, so they did everything in their power to try and shut it down, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know, there's so many ways to go about that, The one thing I think I disagree with you on pretty much is just the characters and story being as flat as before. I mean, granted, there are some story aspects that I would like them to try and delve more into, get a little more bold with, obviously, but for the most part, with what we got here, I'm happy that we actually got a true sequel to a game that we never thought we'd see any form of story for ever again, let alone a full-fledged sequel. You know what I'm saying? We never even thought we'd see AZ again, and we got a whole story surrounding his situation, you know, and I really like that. Again, though, I do wish we got to spend more time with a character like AZ and even more time with like a Lysander and stuff like that, and that some of these characters had a little bit more development and stuff to them, but to call them flat would be kind of an injustice, you know what I'm saying? Like, I really like Naveen, I like Lita. Despite popular belief, I do enjoy the presence of Urbane and Tawny. Jacinth and Laban are really, really fun. I don't know, I just really vibe with this cast and story and stuff like that. And one thing I really like about this one is that all of these characters are consistently reoccurring. Like, they're not just like one and done like a lot of the gym leaders in previous generations and stuff like that. We actually see them return. And I really, really like that. I like that we build a connection with all these characters in Lumiose, because that was the one thing they did seem to take advantage of, in which we are in this one city. So we were seeing all of these characters all of the time. We're seeing them in a bunch of different side quests, whether it be main game or post game or post game or in the DLC or whatever. They were all constantly showing up, and we got to see a bunch of different sides of them. We got to see them interact with each other all the time. We're doing tournaments with them, we're doing battles with them, we're doing double battles. We're just seeing so many different things with these characters, and I love that, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know if I agree with that part. I also wouldn't really call Pokemon ZA a slop job. I feel like that one's a little excessive, especially when it does a lot of things better than both Scarlet and Violet and Legend ZA. They are improving in little ways here and there, albeit it's just not a big enough jump for what we're paying for and what we're expecting in this AAA space right now. I agree that there could be a lot more animations for what these characters are doing, how they're running, how the Pokemon are moving alongside us, and things like that. Please don't get that twisted. However, like I said in my review, those things aren't things that got in the way of my general experience. Most of the time, the positives outweigh the negatives, and that's what I cared about, right? So I totally get it. If Pokemon's not for you anymore, then Pokemon's not for you anymore. Legend ZA didn't do it for you, and it made you want to hop off the boat. You know what? All to you, brother. I completely understand. It's a very frustrating franchise, and hopefully one day it gets good enough to justify what they're asking for in terms of price, because yeah, the gaming space is getting really bad right now. So we'll have to see what the future brings. Next along, we have Turner, who says, only played the base game. I had fun with it, but this is the second game after Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl that I was able to put down and not think about. As someone who's been playing Pokemon since 1998, that's saying a lot. Because of that, I decided not to purchase the DLC, and having watched different playthroughs, I made the right choice for myself in not buying the DLC. Again, I had fun, but the base game wasn't worth $70, so I couldn't justify another $30 for something I knew I wouldn't like. The gaming space only continues to get worse and worse throughout the years, and I 100% agree that $70 is way too steep of an asking price for a game like this one, especially when you're planning to milk another extra 30 out of it utilizing DLC that is really repetitive for a lot of people. Because you got to remember, in this day and age, people are not about the grindy aspect of it. It is extremely repetitive, it's very samey, it's reutilized textures and a reutilized map over and over and over again. People need nuance, they need a little bit more variety than that, and this DLC simply did not justify that at all. Although I will say, I'm surprised that Scarlet and Violet didn't do that for you. I mean, hey, you know, no like shade or anything. I like Scarlet and Violet, you know, despite its issues, but I'm more surprised that that wasn't the game that, you know, you put down and just didn't think about. But all right, whatever works. Next along, we've got RC3813, who says, it's become my third favorite game. I fell in love with the cast. They're all so fun and lovable. The megas mostly look fine or are fine designs, with big exceptions. Looking at you, Pyroar. The new battle style was good too. I hope the Legends games keep it. Though keep turn-based for the mainline games, it's my favorite genre of games. I thought the difficulty was fine. I was usually on the same level as the enemy and had a few tough fights here and there. As for the DLC, I liked the interactions they added and all the megas I saw were great. I also love Ansha, she's the cutest. Honestly, I wanted to keep playing to help her out because I didn't want her to be sad. I liked the limited time dimensions where you have to get everything done in time. Thank God Staraptor can fly. I generally like it, though less than the main game. Edit. I forgot to mention graphics, but I honestly don't have much to say. I don't care for them personally and don't have much knowledge aside from I like it or I don't. And personally, aside from the buildings, I thought the game looked fine. Top 3? That's great. I don't know if I'd put it in my top favorite games or anything, but as far as like Pokemon games, I think it's like within the like top 10 probably. I think that's not crazy to say. I do enjoy the game for the most part. I do notice its flaws, and even in the DLC, while there are a lot of flaws, I do think that there are a lot of interesting concepts that could have worked a lot better in a more fleshed out, thorough design for it, right? For example, the whole like quality donut situation, where the higher quality the donut, the more time you get, the more powerful your Pokemon are, and the better effects you generally get, like finding shiny Pokemon or very specific alphas or whatever. I like that idea. I like that concept. I think the primary problem here is that it is too repetitive when it comes to the missions and the overall environment. I feel like if the environment were to change up a little bit and we were to get different like areas and stuff like that, maybe something along the lines of where we had to fight Darkrai a little more often, maybe like some grassy areas, maybe like a forest or something, like a small just snippet of a different biome of some kind, I feel like that would have helped the repetitiveness at least a little bit. The whole black and white just reutilized assets of Lumio City, that sucked. But overall, yeah, there are really cool ideas in there, and also all of the new megas, maybe not all of them per se, like you said, Pyro kind of sucks, but for the most part, I do like a good majority of the new mega evolutions that were introduced in this game, and I had a lot of fun with them. So yeah, very good stuff. But yeah, no, it is a very nice change of pace to see that somebody enjoyed the game this much. It's, you know, it's a breath of fresh air, you know, because it's not all complete doom and gloom. You know, despite what my other videos have might have put in your head, you know, I'm not completely devoid of hope. You know, I'm just feeling, you know, less hope in regards to what kind of conversations we're going to be having. But, you know, this here, all right, I'm really happy you enjoyed it. After that, we have a Dodge28 who says, I personally didn't buy the game due to its price. It just felt like too much for what I knew the game was offering. I still wanted to play it though. I love Pokemon and I always will. It looks so fun and I appreciate the changes they are trying with the Legends series. So I was waiting to buy a used copy for cheaper so I can experience it. Now, a friend who lives abroad managed to find a cheaper copy, so I'll finally be playing it when they mail it over. Not sure I'll buy the DLC though. I've mostly heard bad things about it. It's really a shame though, because Raichu is my favorite Pokemon and I've been waiting to Mega Evolve it ever since Mega Evolution was first introduced. I think that is more than a fair way to go about it. Like, I don't think that Legends EA for the most part is that game that you absolutely need to go out and buy off rip day one, especially for its asking price. If you can find it for a cheaper price, or if a deal were to come along somewhere, which unfortunately it's a Nintendo, so that almost never happens. But if you do come across a cheaper option, I would definitely highly recommend it, you know, because again, you know, as much as I do enjoy the game, $70, extremely steep. And the $30 asking price for the DLC, way too much, right? Now, getting it abroad and stuff like that, hopefully you do enjoy the game for what it is. Hopefully it is worth, you know, a little bit less than that. Maybe it makes a little more sense. Maybe you'll find it even more enjoyable for the price that you actively got it for. And as far as the DLC goes, I'll be completely honest, only get that if you are enjoying the base game so much that you feel like you really need exactly more of that, because that is precisely what you are getting with that DLC. It is just more extra base game over and over and over again. Make sure that's what you're looking for, right? I do think you'll likely enjoy the base game a little bit more. DLC is a tough ask, so play it by ear, see how you feel about it. Overall though, I really do hope you enjoy the game. After that, we have a familiar face, J Does Stuff, who says, I haven't bought or played Legends EA for a couple of reasons. First was that my top favorite Pokemon, Porygon, wasn't in until the DLC. Second was the price, as games are getting more expensive to buy these days, especially considering what I've seen of the game so far doesn't really warrant the price for the Switch 2 version IMO. I personally only get Pokemon games these days that at least have my top favorite Pokemon in, so I may have to get the game down the road after Pokemon Home compatibility gets added, so I could play with my beloved Porygon, but for now, I'm in no rush. P.S. Sorry about Shinx. Don't even remind me, gang. And what's funny is there were so many memes after Zeraora's Mega Evolution got revealed. There were, oh my god, the Shinx and Luxray slander were crazy, brother. Well, I mean, I guess it was more Zeraora slander, but at least Zeraora made it in the damn game, but I can't get too mad. Shinx was pretty much in the entirety of the Switch era up until this point, so it is what it is. But they're almost guaranteed to make it in next game, so we'll play that by ear. But I think that this is a solid, like, tactical way to go about it. Like, you know for a fact that if your favorite Pokemon is available in the game, you know that you'll have at least some kind of fun utilizing that Pokemon in some way, shape, or form. So instead of just buying the game off rip to have to find out the hard way that your Pokemon isn't available in the game, you just go ahead and get it knowing that your Pokemon is in the game. Porygon is in there. You could probably get it traded in the base game at some point from somebody, some way, and then that way you could utilize it in the base game so that you don't have to, you know, buy the DLC just to get the game, just so you can, you know, get your Pokemon at the ass end of everything, you know, because that would really be buns. I can't front with you. But overall, I think that's a good, smart way of going about it. Again, like we've been saying throughout this entire era of ZA, 70, steep, too much. Way too much. And that 30, bad. No bueno. Next along here, we have the homie Big Ladian, who says, I haven't played the DLC yet, but in my opinion, I like Legends Arceus more than Legends ZA. I just thought the catching mechanics and exploration was much more engaging in Legends Arceus. We're probably gonna be repeating a little bit of this when I do inevitably do my versus video for Legends ZA versus Legends Arceus. I still need to script that, I'll be honest. But, okay. When it comes to the exploration, totally with you. We had more to explore. You know, we had bigger fields. We were unlocking different zones to explore. There was a lot of Pokemon available, and it was just like a fun way to go about it, as to where it was much more repetitive, and, you know, we were collecting and destroying the exact same things in Pokemon throughout our entire playthrough with ZA. So I can understand that. But I feel like the catching mechanic situation is exactly the same. Is it not? I mean, granted, I guess the Pokédex did a better job of, like, engaging us more when it came to Legends Arceus, you know? So if we're talking about that in particular, then that's totally fine. I feel like that definitely helped make the game a lot for me. But other than that, I feel like we're just kind of doing the exact same thing when it comes to how we hunt down our Pokemon in this game. It's just not as... I think one of the things that it is lacking is like the berry situation, where you could like throw a berry and distract a Pokemon so that you can, you know, get a free throw in or a free ball in just to hit him from the back. I paused, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know. I guess there are some aspects in Arceus that do, like I said, we'll talk more about it in depth when we really sit down with that video, but I now that I'm saying it out loud, I do see what you're saying. So okay, you know, that's a fair take to have. I don't blame you for that. Next up, we have Revit, who says, I played both and enjoyed the base game a lot. I expected it to be about as good as Legends Arceus, and for me, it met those expectations. Highlights were definitely the battle system, Rogue Mega's level of polish by Pokemon standards, and the writing. The DLC, though, I enjoyed it enough because it's more ZA gameplay, but it wasn't as good as I had hoped. For casual players, it's decent, but for those who want to complete the Pokédex and Legendary Hunt, it gets real tedious and RNG based, which is weird because I feel like the Pokemon DLCs are more targeted toward the latter audience. I for sure agree with you when it comes to the general positives with the battle system, the Rogue Megas, and the polish and stuff like that when it comes to the writing and, you know, this general, like, quality when it comes to, like, no frame drops or stutters or anything like that. So, for the most part, yeah, good time with the base game, and I could definitely see another... This is, like, a common situation, is that the DLC is simply way too repetitive, way too tedious, and way too annoying with the RNG situation, because, I'll be honest, like, again, after I stopped recording the game, the RNG aspect of it was too much for me, right? Because my RNG already sucks. Like, my luck when it comes to this kind of thing already sucks. So going on a consistent legend hunt, I almost never do that in Pokemon games anyway, if I'm completely honest. Like, after I got to a certain point in, like, Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, the wormholes, I barely did that. I'll be so honest, I barely did that. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to like the repetitiveness of like the legendary hunt and like trying to get certain Pokemon and stuff like that from the wormholes, I just, you know, I get that. I get that, especially. So I imagine like if I was barely doing that in the post game, I know for a fact most casual audiences aren't putting up with that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Again, it's another situation in which if you really liked the base game, the DLC will definitely do it for you. Otherwise, it's super hit or miss. Like you're either going to really like it or you're really going to hate it, you know? So yeah, it's an unfortunate situation with that one. Next along, we have the homie Princess Jenna Bell, who says, Legends EA is so freaking fun. I will admit, I think it's more fun for me because I enjoy shiny hunting, so I never run out of stuff to do. Hunting in hyperspace is so fun. So far, I'm at 145 hours of playtime. First off, where have you been? Maybe you've been in the comments. I don't know. I might have missed you a couple times, but I feel like you haven't been around as much. You know what I'm saying? But good to see you again, homie. But either way, I'm really glad that you've been having fun with the game. 145 hours is what? No, I guess it's not crazy work, especially if you are a shiny hunter or just like a general like living dex finisher or like just whatever you do. You know what I'm saying? Because there's always a way to find something to do, especially if you're a shiny hunter. Oh my god, dude, getting the shiny charm in of itself takes forever. And then next to that, you know, just the general hunt in of itself is just so easy that it could take so much time because it's complete RNG. You never know when it's going to pop up. It could take 5 minutes, it could take 30 seconds, it could take 3 days. You know what I'm saying? You never really know when it comes to the RNG of the shinies in this game. But hey, you know what? I'm really glad you're having a good time with it. I hope you continue to have a good time with it. Maybe you could get a shiny living dex by the time we get Generation 10, because Lord knows this is probably one of the easiest games to shiny hunt in. So hopefully you get as many shinies as humanly possible. After that, we've got a Sarah Farrig who says, definitely my favorite Switch game. It's so fun. Characters are really funny and well developed and just likable in general. New combat system, super fun, and I like the basic gameplay loop. The story's climax is also really good. IMO, the DLC is more mixed. It's obviously super grindy towards the start and middle, but the dialogue and character writing remain top tier, so I didn't mind too much. Then all the rogue mega battles are really good, and so are the boss battles, especially against the legendaries. Special scans obviously suck though, along with not being able to pick which donut bonus you want. Those things need patch fixes ASAP. That's pretty much it. So it seems that there does seem to be a little bit of a repetitious pattern of which even if you do really like the base game, the DLC is super mixed, and you will usually get to a point where that loop gets really repetitive. Like it really starts to bog on you and stuff like that. So it's just like, ooh, like sometimes you don't want to think of it as outright bad because of that, because you're getting exactly what you expected, which is more ZA with that DLC. But on the other hand, it's just like, we really couldn't diversify this a little bit, especially in the post game where we're expected to just be grinding out like berries and stuff like that for donuts and better and better and better donuts and things like that, and just hope that we get what we want out of these special scans, or every time we reset the day to get new wormholes and hope that we get something new or whatever we want. Like, I don't know. It's a really mixed bag with that. But again, you know, I'm very happy that you did enjoy the general game and even like the DLC story and stuff like that. Because like I said, this DLC story is a very simple, like, you know, like cartoon, like episode, like a little episode thing, like a little extra episode of just fun stuff here and there. You know, it's just kind of ridiculous, but I love it. I think it's really cute. So I'm glad you had fun with it. And now we end things off here with the homie friendly Otaku, who says, Legends EA has become my favorite game in the series. It isn't perfect, but it gets right what it needs to, and it feels much more fresh and different, and you can clearly tell the devs put a lot of love and effort into this game, even in areas people don't pay as much attention to, like the behaviors of Pokemon, which makes them feel like living, breathing creatures. I also really enjoyed the DLC. I think that added a lot of really cool stuff to the game, even if some of it is a bit more frustrating, but that doesn't ruin it for me. Overall, very happy with the game, and I'm even more excited to see what Game Freak is cooking up next. I'm really happy that for the most part you came out of this game with a very positive note and a positive takeaway from it, despite, you know, the sea of negativity from it. And even it seems you could recognize that this game does have some pretty drastic flaws in some ways, but for the most part, it didn't ruin the overall experience for you and you still managed to have a good time. That's all anybody could really hope for in in this landscape, in this seascape of hell that we're in right now, right? So overall, I am very happy that you enjoyed the game. I did too. Hopefully, you know, they just continue to deliver some more, you know, higher quality and, you know, upscale products and things like that going into the Switch 2 era. Hopefully this next game has had enough time to cook and learn from the mistakes of its predecessors, and that we could get something really, really good going into what's likely going to be Generation 10, because it's probably going to be a while before we see another Legends game. But either way, hopefully the next game has something that everybody can look forward to. So yeah, I'm really happy for you, bro. All in all, it seems that Pokemon Legends ZA is a very hefty mixed bag when it comes to general public opinion. And I think a lot of that does stem from the very fact that no matter how you slice it, this game is extremely overpriced. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, right? Because we want higher quality products for what we're paying for, right? Everything is getting way too expensive to be dropping $100 on a game that barely meets AAA standards, right? I think it's only fair to expect bigger and better and more for what we're paying. It is genuinely as simple as that. And for a game that is still lacking in the looks department, it's still lacking in the just general things to do and just size, generally speaking, and its repetitive DLC and stuff like that, you can see how people got easily irritated and angry. However, there is a whole other side of things and a lot of people that, despite those flaws, managed to overlook it and still managed to have an insanely good time with this game and actually do, you know, pay attention to what it has to offer for them specifically, whether it be the new fun battle mechanics, whether it be how they go about shiny hunting, whether it be the battle club and, you know, or the story or whatever. You know, there's something for everyone one way or another, right? And if the overall package isn't for you, that's totally fine. If you feel that it's way too expensive, I totally get that and do not blame you at all. You know, this landscape of gaming just sucks right now, and it's a damn shame that, you know, this game, we called it, this one was going to be the one that broke the camel's back for a lot of people, because not only was it not a big of enough step up for a lot of people, but it was also way more expensive than prior entries. So yeah, people did not have a positive taste left in their mouths after this experience. It just simply wasn't enough for a lot of people. But for the most part, you know, as I've said, it was enough for me. You know, I had a really good time with it. I do genuinely love Pokemon Legends EA. I personally am a little burnt out because I just, you know, had to play it back to back a lot for like general content purposes. So me, more than a lot, are probably really burnt out on this game. But, you know, for what it is, I still very much enjoy the game, and one day I'll probably end up coming back to it one way or another. So we'll have to see what happens. But hey, you know what? Maybe that's just me. So that just about does it for this one. Sorry that this one took as long as it did to get to you guys. I did not intend for that to happen. I just had a lot of construction stuff going on over at my place that made it really hard to record the last couple of days. It was just really bad timing because I meant to have this one out to you way sooner. So I don't know, maybe I'll post this one on Saturday. We'll see what happens, because I'm recording this at midnight prime, so we'll see. Not to date it too hard, but regardless, you know, we do still have a lot of stuff to talk about, so hopefully we can get to doing so much sooner rather than later. But I'm passing the mic over in your direction. I want you guys to tell me everything that you're thinking in the comment section below. If you didn't get the chance to have your comment here, you know, how are you feeling about the game overall now that you've seen the general opinion on it? Do you feel any type of different way? If you didn't pick up the game, maybe you're feeling a little differently about it. Maybe you do want to pick it up. Maybe you do want to give it a little bit of a shot. Maybe something has inspired you to maybe get the game for yourself, or maybe, you know, you're looking at the game, you had a negative take on it, but maybe you're seeing all the positive takeaways and maybe you feel like you've been too harsh on it, or vice versa. Maybe you hate this game way more than you ever did. Public opinion changes absolutely nothing for you, and you just do not feel like this game is worth any penny. Tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I'm always going to be down there with you guys. But with that, it does appear to be skedaddle o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and do just that. I'd like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this here. And with that, I'm gone. So thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Doing the greatest favor of taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!